You're all very welcome. My name is Mary Meehan and I'm the Deputy Chief Executive of Manufacturing Northern Ireland. And I'm delighted to welcome a colleague from CPL Future of Work Institute, Maria, who I'll introduce in a few seconds. So for the time being, if everyone, I think your cameras are off anyway. So this is a 1 hour session. It may not take the full 1 hour, depending on the number of questions that you may have. It will be recorded and we will send out the recording after the webinar. As I said, there is a Q&A function or a chat. You can feel free to pop the questions, any questions that you might have into that. And we will take those at the end of Maria's presentation. So this is the fourth and final workshop that has been delivered through Manufacture Northern Ireland's partnership with CPL and the Future of Work Institute. And its aim really is to support best practice in the workplace, to share insights and support manufacturers in becoming an employer of choice. And isn't it so relevant given the tight labour market and the pressures on recruitment in our industry? So this has been a brilliant series of workshops, and if you haven't been able to attend the previous workshops, we can also send out those recordings as well. Today's webinar is called the Destination Workplace, and it's very much around storytelling and creating that brand story that will enhance talent, attraction of talent to your organization. Maria is going to discuss the key principles to becoming or to creating an impactful employer story that will enhance your employer brand. As I said, we're delighted to have Maria Souza with us this afternoon. Maria is the Client Experiences Manager at CPL's Future of Work Institute, with over 16 years of experience in psychology, learning and development, human resources, talent acquisition and employer branding. And Maria assists companies in attracting and engaging and retaining top talent. So with that, Maria, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Mary, and thank you for having me here today. As Mary was saying, my name is Maria, and I'm the Client Experience Manager at the Future of Work Institute. But I also am the co-founder of the Humans of Dublin page, an online community where good people get inspired by real human stories. Today, we're going to be diving into the crucial role of storytelling and exploring how compelling narratives can elevate your company's employer brand and help you attract and retain the right talent. Do you remember the first time you ever heard a really good story? One of the first times for me was when I read Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. As a kid, I loved to curl up in my favorite chair and transport myself into the adventures of Alice and her Wonderland. Even now, I remember with my heart raced as I read about Alice getting constantly into trouble, and I truly admire her curiosity, determination, and carefree spirit. I've always loved stories because they allow me to experience other worlds I didn't know anything about, yet help me make sense of my own world at the same time. But stories aren't just for books and movies. They are one of the most powerful forces on the planet to connect, persuade, and influence our minds, beliefs, and behaviors. That's why storytelling is one of the most powerful marketing and leadership tools you can use. In a world cluttered with forgettable, lack trusted messages, storytelling can make us memorable. In traditional storytelling, we often find the same blueprint, known as the hero's journey. This is a common template of stories that involve a hero, let's say here your job seeker, that goes on an adventure to find the perfect workplace. Along the way, they find a guide or a mentor, represented by your company's employer brand, who helps them navigate through challenges, such as the job application, interview process, and ultimately the hero emerges victorious. either transformed by a fulfilling career at your company or disillusioned by a negative candidate experience. Leverage this timeless framework, we can craft an unforgettable talent experience that resonates with the right talent in a deeper level. Because, just like stories transform us to new words, employer branding invites talented individuals to envision themselves as part of your company's unique story. Research shows that storytelling bypasses logics, taps into your emotions, and inspires action. A Stanford study found that participants were 65% more likely to donate to a charity after hearing a personal story about a single child in need, compared to those who only receive statistics about the widespread problem. Storytelling is memorable. We remember stories far better than abstract data. Researchers in the London School of Business found that people hold about 5 to 10% of information when it's just presented with facts. But throw the same information into a story, suddenly they retain 70% of it. So when you attach key messages into a story, it really sticks with your audience. That's why storytelling is crucial for employer branding. And when people truly connect to the story behind a brand, over a half of them, 55 to be exact, are more likely to purchase the product in the future. And the best one so far for me, storytelling can increase the value of a product by 2,700%. 2,700%. That's an incredible number. Significant Objects was literally an anthropological experiment conducted by journalist Robert Walker in collaboration with writer John Glenn, and they looked at the potential impact storytelling has on the perceived value of a product. They asked 100 creative writers to invent stories about $129 worth of items, and then they sold them on eBay to see if the stories enhanced the values of the object. The net profit was $3.6 million. That's a huge markup. According to the researchers, the hormonal change which takes place when we listen to a story helps increase our feelings of connection and affinity towards an item. These are great studies to have in mind because your company's story is already out there. The question is, are you the one guiding the narrative? At the Future of Work Institute, when we talk about your employer brand, we're talking about internal and external story. If you do not proactively create your employer brand, that brand will be defined by others. And often, the loudest voices are usually the least satisfied, even if they are minority. Actively managing your employer brand means taking ownership of your narrative. You shape the message, you engage with feedback, and you work to ensure your internal culture matches the story you are telling the world. A well-crafted story should communicate authentic employee value proposition. Some people call it employer value proposition, but at the Future of Work, we call it people value proposition, or PVP for short. Consider this. Candidates use an average of 18 sources and read 7 to 8 reviews before applying for a role. The candidate journey starts anywhere your company's story can be found. So your start needs to be compelling. Candidates are shopping for the next employer like they are shopping for goods. It's one of the reasons there's so many emphasis in company story, brand, and PVP. PVP is the total design of the value that people receive when they join your business. It's the essence, the features, the experience, the culture, the brand, and the story of your company, all rolled into one. Your PVP defines the promise you make and sets the foundation for for meeting talent expectations. It's going beyond remuneration and benefits. Your PVP is your company reputation, culture, values and ethics, leadership behavior, work environment, organization design. Is the way you engage and communicate with your talent, the technology and innovation your company use. Your PVP, our PVP has 20 PVP teams, as you can see here, that we utilize to fully understand your company PVP and the promises you can make and keep to your talent. So when we talk about people value proposition, this is what we're talking about. It's important to understand there are two elements of a people value proposition. You have your external proposition, what is essentially how you are perceived by potential clients, candidates, and stakeholders, what they say, think, and believe about you as an organization and employer. And there is also your internal proposition, how you're perceived by employees, existing clients, and stakeholders, what they say, think, and believe about you as an organization and employer. In an ideal world, they all should be the same. But there are some organizations where the external proposition can be quite different from what is actually going on internally. But ideally, we want to make sure that our internal and external propositions are the reality for your employees. Because happy, engaged employees become your most powerful brand ambassadors. So you might be thinking, how can we use this information to drive attraction, retention, and engagement? If you are looking to create an authentic and transparent employer brand that truly tells your story, the best place to start is within. Audit your PVP. Is the current PVP clearly defined and actively communicated? Does it resonate with the issues your workforce identified as crucial and critical? Development, flexibility, meaningful work? If not, it's time for reassessment. And if I don't have a PVP, you might ask, what should I do? Start with data. I believe the worst story of all is the one that is told too soon. And truly, this is a very common mistake that aspiring storytellers make. We often launch into a story and don't know the half of the things that we need to know about who we are talking to. Before you qualify to tell anything, you must deeply understand your audience. In employer branding, this rings especially true. Effective employer branding is not just about sharing any story. It's about crafting narratives that resonate with your target talent pool. Understanding their values, aspirations, and preferences is crucial to delivering a message that truly engage and attract top talent. So before you starting spreading your story, take time to know your audience inside and out. And hopefully our 5-step process can help. Essence, create, plan, activate, and impact. At the core of how we work is a deep commitment to design, co-creation, and integrating multiple data sources. To bring this to life, we collaborate closely with the leadership team, talent acquisition, HR, marketing, and the communication team to ensure transparency and alignment throughout the project. With the help of this framework, we support our clients to localize their existing brand, work to develop full PVPs, and create complete employer brand programs. In the essence phase, we focus on understanding your organization throughout focus groups, surveys, social footprint analysis, and other core internal data. This will help your company to build the foundation and see the full story that you have at hand. When using survey tools, many of which are freely available, I recommend including sections for open text responses. This enables employees to provide a detailed feedback and contributes to a more nuanced understanding of their perspectives and stories. You can also conduct a story mining session where employees from different levels share stories about their teams, what they like about their role, how they progress in their careers, and what they think about the company. And you can use these stories to identify common themes that represent the heart of your organization. This can be done with minimal cost, using already existing meeting times or short surveys. I read this quote from Seth Godin. Marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories you tell. And the create phase is where the vision and the wisdom of Seth Godin comes to life. This is where you crafted you this is where you should craft compelling stories about the kind of life and career the right talent can build at your company. As you can see here, the DAA project clearly illustrates how your stories approach can support talent attraction. DAA engaged with us to support the amplification of their current brand and PVP at a localized level. Following our design thinking model and PVP framework, we co-created 4 key themes that held the most meaning to their employees. By uncovering the stories behind purpose, growth, community, and diversity, the reasons why people applied and stay in the company. Based on that, we craft a compelling narrative that resonated throughout the company and the candidate journey. And from an internal perspective, we have the beautiful example of Culture Ireland, where existing wellness program lacked the structure and participation was low. And together with the Culture Ireland employees, we utilized design thinking methodology to fully understand their hopes, wishes, and dreams, and co-create a wellness program that fully resonated with their needs. Some of the interventions include the development of an internal wellness strategy, engagement and communication plan, the development of a bespoke wellness brand, including the story, the name, assets, and pillars and behaviors, crafting the reimagined wellness story aligned to the overall business purpose, and a wellness brand launch event to drive excitement and awareness of the program. The overall campaign saw a 65% increase in attendance and engagement across the business. The program is now a fundamental part of their overall cultural and employee experience and a key enabler for attraction, engagement, and retaining of their talent. The plan phase is the moment where all the creative brainstorming becomes real. We are talking about the creative outputs and molding them into a solid strategy with a look, feel, and voice that is uniquely yours. It's here we deep dive into the company's DNA, transform your values, culture, and PVT into initiatives that resonate with your talent. It's not about throwing information out there. It's about crafting stories that stick, that inspire, and make a difference. From an internal perspective, take for instance our collaboration with J&J in Cork. They wanted to re-engage their leaders and reveal that 10-year strategy. Sure, they could have settled for the usual meeting and a memo, but J&J is all about innovation, collaboration, and creativity. And that's why they reach out to us to craft the immersive experience and storytelling that will ignite excitement and rally their teams around a shared vision. It's about fostering that sense of connection and value, make people feel that everyone is something bigger in front of them. The external activate stage is where the key marketing and engagement elements come to life. It involves the activation of various assets such as the visuals, the Microsoft, the target microsite, the target campaigns aimed at generating interest and engagement. This strategy targeting not only maximizing reach but also ensures that your employer brand resonates with intended audience at the most opportune moments of their lives. From an internal perspective, Activate is all about engaging existing employees as brand ambassadors. We are talking about like advocacy programs, social media toolkits, and creating those special moments where they feel that they are empowered to share their authentic stories. One of my favorite examples is the Leaders for the Future program we designed with one of our clients. They realized they needed to focus on retaining and developing their top female talent. To make this happen, we paired female senior leaders with high potential women, providing mentorship and career support. When we build a sense of community by creating mentoring circles and spaces for women to learn and share from each other. We even use psychometric assessments to help participants understand their strengths and where they wanted to grow their careers. But the most powerful part, we inspire these women to become storytellers and ambassadors, amplifying the company's amazing commitment to female leadership. And the result? Over 90 women advanced their careers because of this program, and it's being a major factor in the company achieving a zero pay gap. Measure impact. If you are a runner like me, you know that measuring the impact of the story you craft and the employer branding initiatives is like tracking your performance during a marathon. Just like a runner looks at their watch, adjusts their pace and strategy using real-time data, continuous assessment ensures your employer branding stays on course. But impact measurement isn't only about ROI. It's about deeply understanding your stakeholders, their needs, their motivations, and developing metrics that truly reflect success. Tools like employee engagement surveys, pulse surveys, and net promoter scores provide initial insights. At the Future of Work Institute, we partner with a people analytic platform who delves deeper into employee voices and gains predictive analysis for engagement and retention. This platform offers a live interactive dashboard that attracts, progress, and highlights areas for improvement, helping you to showcase your journey, celebrate achievements, and demonstrate your commitment to ongoing brand development. So, what are top takeaways from today? The world of work is changing, and talent feels more empowered than ever. Your company's story already exists, so make sure you're the one guiding the narrative. Know your PVP and amplify this as part of your attraction, retention, and engagement strategy. No PVP? No problem. Use data and feel free to utilize our PVP framework to help guide your journey. Leverage your employee voices, they are your eyes and ears on the ground. Measure impact by identifying your stakeholders' pain points and developing tailored metrics that address these areas. If you're interested in this topic, you can utilize this QR code to read more about our research and download our white paper on PVP that matters. Here you'll find our PVP framework and more details of the offers and the service we have. And to everyone that attended the session today, I'd like to offer you a complimentary membership of our Future of Work Institute community for senior leaders with a passion for the future of work and the desire to continue to share and learn more. Thank you very much for having me today. It was a huge pleasure, and I'm happy to take any questions you have.
Thank you, Maria. That I could listen to you all day. You've actually a lovely way of presenting and I can imagine your storytelling as well. So thank you so much for bringing us into that. I suppose it's a whole new area for companies and for maybe our target audience that have joined us today. Your employer brand is very much your company's identity as an employer. It's the potential then to really be a talent magnet then in terms of bringing new people into the organization, but also retaining existing staff as well. Can you give, I know you presented Johnson and Johnson there and the graphics and all look fascinating, and they're such a huge organization. Can you give any examples of perhaps maybe a smaller, maybe in manufacturing where we do struggle at times with image and trying to attract particularly females into the workforce? Have you any examples of companies that you've maybe worked with in that area, and the types of stories that they've told to attract talent?
Yes. So the best way to mine your stories is to talk to the people on the ground and just go there and walk the floor and listen to the stories. And if you don't have time for that, definitely a focus group or a survey can definitely help. Once you mine all the stories, you need to align the stories with the values of the company and the mission and what you want, the way you want to be perceived. Once you find those stories, embrace them and give power to the people for them to share their own stories if they feel comfortable, or for your team to share their stories. What we have seen a lot is that once you listen to your employees, they become more passionate by your EVP. They become more connected with the mission and values of the company. There's also great advocacy programs that you can train the people to tell their stories and feel empowered to share their own line. And also a great example that we have, and we also do, I know it's not in the Matchroom Factory, but it's something that definitely can be used for, at CPL we have an All-Star program. So what we have is that employees celebrate, we have employees itself highlighting people and voting for people that represent and embody the values and culture of the place that we have here. And they go for, it's almost like when you see the football teams all going against each other, comparing, and at the end of the year, the person that is embodying that value and culture gets voted and is the all stars of the program. So we highlight these people and their stories and the people that know them, and this is the culture of the place is highlighted. The employees nominate themselves and the colleagues, and this is the way that we can have recognition of what it is the EVP and what the stories that are connected to each of them.
Yeah, so it's really humanizing the organization, and whether that be maybe the founding entrepreneur and the inspiration behind them creating that company, whether it be, past employees who have fond memories working in the place. And I know before we went live today, you spoke about the Humans of Dublin exhibition, and the past workers from the Guinness factory sharing their stories and bringing them back, and inspire, sparking those memories as well. So it's really about that human factor. It's getting those stories from on people's experiences and how they felt and how they were made feel as well as part of that employee journey.
Yes, 100%. And the peer-to-peer recognition is a huge factor in there, because it's not coming from up down. Is we recognizing this in your colleague, in your manager, and etc. And they become more connected. What EVP means, what is the mission, values of a company, or the values that you want to empower. It stays in the background because they are looking for that to be able to vote in the right person at the end of the year.
Okay, brilliant. So we've a question from Alicia. So how do we create a consistent employer brand message and story across different platforms with a low budget?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think for that one, consistency, builds trust and recognition. So it makes sure that you have centralized brand guidelines. I think starting with that is a great way to go. Make sure when the people feel empowered to tell their stories, that they are well trained for that. So training the people could be HR, hiring managers, even in your employees, to feel empowered, to know the brand guidelines, and to be able to share their own stories. And be consistent in the way that you are sharing those stories. Showcase your EVP in action. Make sure that the stories that you're sharing align to your EVP. And then that the external communication team is well aware of your brand guidelines. And then the most important is to monitor everything that is out there and being shared and adapt if you realize that there's some misalignment and needs refinement with the message. Just go back to the drawing board and adapt the narrative.
It's important as well, Maria, to know who your audience is. So if, for example, you are telling that story, you're maybe going out to school audiences, to young primary school children, or maybe those students maybe picking GCSE subjects. I suppose it's important to relate to them and be able to present and tell your own story about maybe how you picked your journey and your pathway into that particular career, and how you perhaps maybe picked certain subjects and maybe pivoted at being, I suppose it's being vulnerable and open to telling those stories. And again, there's lots of different platforms. I've seen some companies, producing some TikTok videos that might appeal to maybe younger generation as well, that they're trying to attract. So I suppose it's important to be sure and targeted in terms of the audience and the platform that you use as well.
100%. Yeah, spot on, Marie. Definitely.
Okay. We're very quiet. That's why we don't have any other questions. Is anybody, I don't know if this allows us to take live questions. I'm not sure. But there is a Q&A function there, or a chat, whatever you feel free if anyone has any more questions. I suppose, Maria, if you could give us kind of your top 3 tips in terms of that, creating a compelling story and engaging with audiences. What are the kind of the key areas that you would focus on as an employer?
Yeah, I think each employer is focused in different areas, depending of exactly what you were saying a few minutes ago, Mary. Depends of the audience and the talent they are aiming to attract in that moment in time. But it's fully, I'll reinstate that over and over again. It's listening before talking. It's making sure that you're fully aware of their hopes, visions, and dreams, that what it needs, what they need from you. And then make sure that you can offer, right? Because you don't want to create a story that you're going to be selling oranges and they arrive and it's actually apple. But make sure that you can align as much as possible with their needs. And then bring the stories to life. Find people in your group, find people that work for you, and that can tell stories that resonate with those needs and bring them to life. Could be in many ways. There's so many different types of social media. Depends of, again, to the people that you're trying to aim for. But and be listening to the feedback, because some people, you're going to think that some stories are great and going to resonate well, and they will arrive, they are not that perfect. So be able to move very fast when you listen that, or realize that it's not resonating well with your audience. Change, pivot, improve, and be moving fast, because everyone is.
Yeah, it's a very good point you made there. It's very much about listening, because we recently ran a pilot project with the Royal Academy of Engineering, where we helped a number of organizations, a number of manufacturing companies, to train up some of their engineering staff to go out and to speak to school audiences. And a big part of that was very much about listening, I suppose, to the stereotypes, or those images that the school kids or the students had in their minds about what an engineer does and about the environment perhaps that the engineer would work in. So we found it was very useful for them to listen, but and to acknowledge their, I suppose, their images and the stereotypes that they had, and then to, I suppose, tell them about their role, about the job that they did, and about the pathway that they took to get there. So that's very useful. And if any of the organizations or companies on here today would like any more information, or maybe some of the slides that we use to bring the whole engineering to life, and to showcase the many different facets of engineering there are, and I suppose we used to say, look, like engineering is everything from chicken wings to aircraft wings. You know, there's so many different disciplines out there, and it's trying to resonate with that audience. With, you know, if you're speaking to the younger school kids, find out what images that generates in their own minds. Just another question here: how can we involve employees in the development and promotion of our EVP? There's often an assumption that this sits with marketing. It's a very good question.
Yeah, and there's that assumption really. It's a multifaceted, like not only one part of the company. I think this should be at executive level, if possible, because you want in the room, you know, communications, HR, talent acquisition. You want the leaders to be able to also, you know, give their input, and obviously the marketing team in there to support you. But it's not just HR or talent acquisition or comms or marketing. They need everyone in the room to be able to do this right. And how can we involve the employees? I think the best way to involve them is to show that we're listening to them, you know, is include the employees in the process and creation of your EVP, is listen to them, do focus groups, surveys, ensure that, you know, all the EVP is correctly aligned to what really matters to them, because they're going to talk, but they want to feel that they're listened to, right? And when they feel heard and involved, they're most likely to believe in, you know, and kind of and carry this in their journey, that the DVPs with them. So I also encourage anyone here to look after, you know, getting advocacy programs, and those employee advocacy programs are really great because they can be your ambassadors and your people to go to when you have a new story that you like to share, or you have, you know, they will be your eyes and ears on the ground. They be that people that will be able to provide you feedback, constant and authentic feedback, you know, and they also be the people that will be sharing their experience online. So train them, encourage and empower them to be able to talk, and then celebrate the stories that you have at hand. You know, I think that's the best thing you can do.
That's great, Maria. Thank you so much. That was really useful. And as I said, we will send a recording to everybody who's participated in today. Maybe Maria, do you want to mention a little bit about every person participating in the series can also get complimentary membership to the Future Work World, which is a network for senior leaders led by the Future of Work Institute team. And there's lots of resources there. Maria, is that?
Yes, we have not only resources, but the best out of all, we have, you know, hybrid events that wherever you are in the world, you can attend our events, and they are in fantastic topics. We have, what day is today? I think we have one very shortly on the, let me just check. Yes, so we have one on the 2nd of May about AI, and, you know, AI, it's a huge topic in HR, and we definitely have great people talking in the panel. And I can send you a link afterwards if you guys want to register for the hybrid one. I'll be happy to welcome you. And there's always space in the end for questions and everything. But you know, the topics can be a variety of topics that we cover throughout the year. AI is a hot topic, so that's the main one that we're looking at the moment. But the next one will be in talent acquisition and how to attract and engage, you know, the right talent for you, not just the top talent, but the right one for you.
Great. Yeah, we'd be very grateful if you would forward those links on, Maria. The platform that you had mentioned from the Future of Work Institute, the interactive dashboard, is that one that you use internally? Is that available to companies then that you work with?
Yes.
As
Yes.
part of, okay.
Yeah, so we work with that, and this dashboard is so interesting. I was about to say cool, but it is. It's a really cool technology because you can see it lights up in front of you as people, as the employees are replying the survey. You can see in real life what they think about your company, and you can even predict. There's this predictive analysis of engagement and retention, so you can see the teams inside your company that have a possibility that people will be leaving the company very soon. And that's a great data to have in mind. And how can you re-engage with them before they leave your company?
Great. Okay. That's not part of this free membership, obviously. That's if you
No,
work.
this is something. Now, this is something when we're working with a client and we're creating a PVP for them. When we want to measure the impact, we utilize this technology to be
Okay.
able to. Yes, it's
Great.
almost like a engagement, employee engagement survey, but
Great.
yeah,
Okay.
it's
That I can see how
interactive.
useful that could be. I just thought I would ask the question in case you don't want to send out mixed messages in terms of what they're getting as part of this complimentary, but certainly access to those resources, access to the networking and the hybrid events, I'm sure will be so useful. So Maria, listen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary.
I'm quite sad that this is our last webinar in this particular series. Hopefully we get to do some work in the future. There may be more, but for now, thank you so much for such an insightful presentation and for answering the questions. And thank you to all our audience that have joined us today. And thank you to Connor and Aideen on the technology side of as well.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, enjoy
Bye.
the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
You too. Bye bye.